Decide immediately. Decide immediately.
Let us have Mr. Ovidiu Vladu introduced. He came and he is from Romania, and the two main topics of him are following. The one thing where he was coming from is earmarks for animals. How can I control the movement of animals everywhere? The earmark are the numbering system that you know, and the other is the future is GPS, and you know exactly where they are moving around. This is step number one. And the second is, he will speak also for the company Siveco. Siveco is a former 2,000, now less people, but they do, this was interesting for me, they do since 12 years the European Union subsidy management in entire Romania, okay, for all farmers. That means we do the farm management system and they collect the data for the ministry to do the whole subsidies. So that means we have a partnership also with them to understand in detail how they can do it. And what they did in the last 2 years, they built up a new software, and I think that's important for all of us. How can IT support in education? Because we know exactly that IT and education will be a giant possibility for the future, that with this lots of know-how that is coming, are able to transfer to everybody.
So I was working with them since 25 years in these two areas, healthcare and agriculture. Also, they have a strong tool for what we call e-education. They are the largest provider in Romania of such services. And I will show you some slides regarding their expertise and experience and their domain of innovation. I'm saying domain of innovation because especially through the last program, which is called VAND, they are present all over the world, as we can see from Kazakhstan to France and also to Arabic countries in Africa. Their projects, their institution, they were a company with more than 1,000 employees. Now they have something like 300 because they apply for themselves the modernization of the tools, and they are the first in Romania which are trying to use programmers which are automated programmers. Because in the market, as we know, there are some cultures and I have to appreciate the contribution of the Russian software developments, of the software which provide and which can promote also the open source. They are one of the companies which were able to reduce the number of employees by working with robots. You will see also in my presentation that we are creating robots to develop software and also for customer service. If we take the main product, if we talk the e-learning subject, they were creating a platform, for instance, for the Romanian high school, and also not only for high school, also for the university education, a platform which is used for more than 11,000, if I remember correctly, schools in Romania. So the teachers are componing their lessons, and the students, the pupil, they are doing their homework, and they have an excellent tools to develop their abilities and skills. And the reason why I underline this is the experiment of the e-learning project, which was also set it up and implemented in other countries, is because it's only 20% technology. I mean, technology is available, but they are using reusable object learning, and based on that, the portfolio of acknowledgements is increasing. So technology is just 20%, and the process and people and culture are the rest. So it's like the iceberg. I hope not the iceberg which put down the Titanic. So this type of platforms are enlarging and they are coming better and better like a library. and I hope not like the Library of Alexandria. So it's very important that a lot of people are putting their thoughts, their courses, their training, their exercises in one huge platform. And the success of the company, which strongly come from the content, it's very obvious that it's because of the quality of the people. So layering all this type of users, each component is developing for each network, for each country, in dependence with the habits, with the culture, a strong environment which can be shared. The latest technology which bring as you will see in the following slides, the following technology, it's called WAND. They implement WAND as a wall. A wall, pictures, a wall full of pictures, a wall where the world is coming now from the virtual reality and has beneficiary from the army industry until the agriculture. Because if you are in front of a screen and you can highly introduce lessons, they were using also, and they have projects, for instance, to be implemented in the European Union for tax in the tax offices, also in the education area. It's very important for a company coming from Eastern Bloc area like Romania is, to implement such huge and large projects in the European Commission. And it's not easy. Before 90s, we have a strong education system with a lot of researcher, developers, which now, unfortunately, because we were not able to keep them in our countries, they are acting and they are the front line, the peak of the iceberg in different countries, including, as you can see, in Google. The founders, developers are either from Russia or from China, so this is something which can say something about our system of education. Based on that system, we were able to develop very intelligent ways of training people and very intelligent ways of developing trainers to train the teachers, to train the kids, and to train the people which are participating in the process. Those digital courses are not only animated, but they are, like in any augmented reality, they are trying to replicate the reality and to teach with minimum costs all the procedure that are meant to be in any kind of organization. I'm envisage, of course, again, that this from the military, you can see because you will have the presentation. Also to the public sector and also to governmental areas where they really need to be trained. They really need to be trained because the scientific progress, the development of the IT application are done in such a rate that everybody should go and to be trained, in our opinion, at least once at 3 years. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, I'm coming from a country which sometimes is not prepared for that. And despite the huge investment in IT, I know the figures from Romania, the results are not as good as the investment. And why? Because the bureaucracy, instead of going back, is going up. I will give you an example. In 2004, in Romania, we had 780,000 public servants. Now we have 1.6 million. The investments which has been done, including in education, was more than 20 billion euro. More than 20 billion in different governmental and public servant area. And the results did not show up. Because the politicians, and I'm not making politics here, they are always pushing the number of employees instead of reducing them to be efficient. So with this tool, I was exercising this practice with farmers. I was using Siveco's training courses for farmers because it was very important for them to receive images and also to have access to the different courses which were prepared by, we have a lot of commissions and missions from the EU before the accession in the European Union. But they did not have manuals. So with these instruments, we were able to train, for instance, just as an example, 2,900 veterinarians which were starting the operation of animal identification in Romania in 2004, and we were training 100, and then those 100 trained another 400 using these very important tools. Those objects which can be designed and which, based on the development of the hardware, they are really, you can feel and you can touch from the perspective of an end user, were implemented, as I repeated, from Kazakhstan to Western Europe. And this virtual reality, it's something that is reducing the cost, for instance, for training mechanics. We do not have now in Europe mechanics. We do not have people which are welding. We are importing now, even in Romania, because of the development, people from Vietnam. And they do not speak a word in English or a word in, they are speaking Vietnamese or they are coming from India. It's the same thing. So from this point of view, to insert them in the culture of a company, these virtual courses are like gold. I mean, you do not have any other way to show them. And some of the companies, and I'm mentioning only one which is preparing big units for the cement factories. I mean, they employ 320 Vietnamese welding workers. It was a hassle, but based on these courses, they were able to train them, and they were able also to work and to integrate into the society. Part of the courses, which are in the platform, it's used to integrate and educate the people from other culture to mix and understand the culture of the country which received them and try to implement that. Also, the expertise of the Siveco was in the designing tools for educating the people from the custom. Since we have only one Europe and the borders for us as people, they disappear, but for merchandising, for products and for different goods, that still exist, and it's not easy. I mean, the recognition of the utility of this kind of products comes from Pierre Moscovici, very well-known commissioner from the EU. So, being a lot of programs, I would not want to keep the attention, because as I mentioned before, the application of such product, it's huge. I mean, in any domain, you can use it and you can put it together. The technology is covering two major activity: the possibility to upload, download, to put multimedia inside, outside, the security, and the security, I'm talking also about high security. My company now, because I have also to speak about that, it's issuing certificates. We have since 2016 new rules in Europe regarding the data protection. And some people, they are treating this issue very seriously, so you do not need to sign papers with address, names, and so on and so forth. And also for the education area, you should have a complete set of procedure to protect the data. So what is public, and the layers of security should be developed in a very strict manner. For instance, to my company, we are issuing at 6 months 8,000 certificates for access, because we had before the entering into force of this legal environment, we have an audit from a specialized company, and just to describe you generally, the system was like that. We were providing 3,400 computers spread it all over Romania, which is a country of 20 million people, to the vets. And they were entering the data of the animals on their computers, which belongs to my company. The software belongs to my company, but the activity of the animal identification was delivered by the government to them. And based on that spreading, it was the largest network in Romania, and because the internet was not so developed, we are talking now about 5G, but during those times we were talking about the CDMA technology, and the signal was not covering the whole country. It was very difficult, so we built local databases on those computers, so for them to act either if they have or if they don't have connection with the internet to send data on a daily basis. So in that circumstances, the auditor said it is not possible anymore to work with distributed databases because they can be easily attacked, and everyone can enter into a computer because the protection was not very high. I mean, were only username and password. So based on that assumption, we built the system with digital certificates, and each 6 months we issue digital certificates for any user. And this is what we do also with Siveco for the domain which has sensitive characters with security, like the army is, for instance. So there are a lot of beneficiary and clients of the company, and what is their main, they are very proud of the cooperation with the European Union, with different direction and directors, and this is the good standing certificate. And not only a good standing certificate, this certificate has been issued since last 12 years with the EU, and since last 30 years with the rest of the customers. Because, as you understand, we were not able to have private companies before 1990 in Romania. So immediately we jump in the free market, and the companies which resist, as Siveco and my company is, means a lot of work and a lot of effort. So this is roughly, not to be so long with the education, we have to understand that we have a very important and very creative tool to support all learning process over the internet. Now I will try to switch to my presentation, and I will start with what is new with this. We started this operation 2.5 years ago with Walter to go in Africa and to support them, to support their growth. We were touching Nigeria, which is now a country with 170 million people, and which will have in 2040 500 million people. And they have a huge problem covering the food. The food requirement is very high, and we were there trying to find the solution of their problems. We identified their problems, and the main problems was that nobody knows from the government what do they have, what strategy do they need, and what is the path that they have to take. So actually they did not know anything about, they knew their problem. And their problem were huge. First of all, they have still tribes which are going from Nigeria to Senegal. So they are migrating together with their animals. When they do not have money, they are cutting one sheep or one cow, and they are buying mobile phone minutes to communicate. They do not know how to read and write, most of them. I'm talking about animal breeders. And they are targeted also by the people which believe that their crops are in danger, and they are, when the animal pass to their properties. So with a huge problem, alimentary problem, food problem, they do not know how to approach and to this subject, how to breed animal, how to do that in an efficient way, how to track diseases, and how to organize the activity. So we explain our experience and our expertise for that domain, which was shared also with other countries from Asia, also from Asia, also from Europe, which were attending to have the animal traceability project implemented as a requirement either to trade with European Union or to join the European Union. So we explain our project, which was in fact very simple. We got a tender, and we have to implement the project in 1.5 years. It was like a boom. It was somebody forgot from our country that you cannot join the EU if you do not have a traceability system and an animal identification system operational. So we joined the forces with the second largest producer of ear tags in the world. It's called Casely from Germany. And what we tried to find, it was a solution to implement very quickly the identification of all animals from Romania. And just to have figures, we had to identify something like 15 million animals in 1.5 years. Now we have more than 140 million animals in our database. So we were fighting against the bureaucracy. You saw here we have to prepare files with all the, but when I'm saying files, we have to put, because we do not have even on the maps. I know that here there are some people which deals with maps. We do not have a postal code, Postleitzahl, like it's in Austria, for each locality, because we have to give them, as I mentioned before, all the means of identification, which means ear tags. We have to give them computers, phones, a telephone to be connected in the internet. So actually at this moment in the world, we are the only company which do this full package of services. So from A to Z, animal identification, the company or the entity which employs us, the government, should just pay us. And we are talking about very few money. I was working with Walter, because he developed, maybe he will share with you, this metrics of splitting the cost per hectare. I was doing the same for the animals. So it was difficult, it was very interesting, challenging, but we did it. So at 1st of January 2007, after the peer review mission from the EU, our country was in the possession of a very nice and modern system of animal identification. Because the whole services was outsourced to us, we maintained the equipment, central servers, communication, which was on our cost. So full package of services till 2014. And then we are now dealing directly with the veterinarians, which are practically applying and putting the ear tags to the animals, and then sending the data. In Africa, this is just a brief discussion of the project in Romania, we found that almost it's impossible to do such things. Why? Because the bureaucracy, the government is not able to do that. And since then, we were focusing and we were preoccupied fully to find solutions for farmers. As Walter is saying, the farmer is the main target of our activity, and we have to do things as simple as possible, because the farmer is not a bureaucrat. A farmer is somebody which is working 20 hours per day in his farm, and he doesn't want to become a bureaucrat. He doesn't want to have forms. He doesn't want to do all the reports that they have to do that. Myself, I'm a farmer. I have some pigs, I have some sheep, I have some birds, some rabbits, and I'm working with AMA and also with Statistic of Austria. And I repeat, my background, I'm economist, I know forms, I create and invent forms, but the imagination of a bureaucrat, it's amazing. They create so many forms that it's like when you put crosswords. You do not know how to fill them. So the reason why I insist on this aspect is that we're trying to create an environment, despite of the technical environment, that we put the technology in front and behind. So in front, that's the people to do things as simple as possible, and behind a lot of technology. So I don't want to show you how a form of animal identification is in Europe. It doesn't matter the country. But look what we create for Nigeria. We create something for people which even do not know to write or read. But what we found, and we were very impressed about that, all those people which are members of a tribe in Africa, they know how to deal with the phone. Amazingly, they have phones. They have phones, and based on if they have a phone, they are linked with us. So we create a system that it's very easy to be done. Even this one, it's improved right now, because what we make a learning machine which can, if you put the finger here, you do not need to cross or to make a sign, and you make the photo, the phone is programmed in such a way that can transmit information. Because at the end of the day, if we think we are now in a process of getting funds from the EU with a new project, you can identify animal as you have programs for face recognition, even better. So the technology is there, and we can track their movement very easy, tracking the movement of the alpha, male or female. The progress in this area are so fast that even our version, we are now at version number 5, and we hope that we will be implemented in one of the African country. We will make the connection between our forms, holding, land registry, and the supply of the ear tag, you see, in such a way that the whole chain, it's done literally from the factory. So from the factory, we know how to personalize the ear tag based on the land registry with the holding code, putting that flag on the map, and then tracking the animal until the slaughterhouse. So this was our main concern, how to do things very easy and affordable from the point of view of the payer, and very easy to use from the end user, which is the farmer. So I can show you on my phone, I have the application, and I can track movement, so actually events from the animal life, like birth, movements, slaughterhouse, in minutes using just my phone, without any intervention of a paper form. I was, for instance, in Ukraine. In Ukraine, they have a huge data entry point where a lot of people, I mean, hundreds of people, they are feeding data into the system. But of course, if this is not a traceability system. So I hope I make my point very clear that we are going to mobile more and more, and to satellites, and to different devices which will cover the area of traceability. And then we have from our partner an excellent tool which has been not only approved but used by millions of people in the European Union. And if you have any questions, I will be delighted to answer. If not, thank you very much. And thank you again, Walter, for invitation. And I hope we will go together to Nigeria.
Question?
One question, when you talk about tracking, you don't mean GPS tracking?
Also GPS tracking. The GPS tracking is used, and now it's expensive, but can be done for the alpha man in one herd. Because it's useless to put such a huge amount of money. And actually, like an example, the people in Nigeria, they are going from east, in sub-Saharan countries, from east to west, and roughly they have 10,000 animals. Because they are not only, it's not one breeder. They are like a community of people which are going from east to west, going for grass. This is what they are going, and selling their products. So this is the reason why they were asking. I didn't mention here because it's not nice, but one of their major problem was also the thief. They were attacked by either by the people which have crops, or by terrorists, because the terrorists also, they are human beings, they have to eat. And what is better for a terrorist than a cattle made well done? So they were very curious, how can we solve this problem? Another issue, but I did not want to insist, is that at the identification, we can take samples, tissue samples, and analyze them, and put them into a huge database, which will help, one, the breeder to select the animals which are not exposed to different diseases, and second, we can help them to identify animals which were stolen. Because they cannot say that it's not stolen, because we have the animal into our database, the genetic. So it's a mixture of all the modern technologies which are involved here.
This will be an interesting application for information money. We could implement an algorithm that whoever wants to eat or steal or take away one cattle from the herd, he has an application on his mobile phone, and when the phone registers this is the individual, immediately the owner will be paid. So he mustn't steal it anymore. Yeah? We have an institution that creates the money for everyone who wants to eat one piece of cattle. So it will not be stolen anymore. It is a different level of communication. There will be no violence, because everyone who knows I might lose some sheep, pigs, whatever, yeah, I will be immediately paid for it. Violence will be taken away. And the kind of service that the thief provides for community can be divided, yeah, and can be separately dealt with.
It's always a problem of resources, yeah, and how the resources are spread and how they are used. I mean, for this can be created also in countries which has lack of, let's say, governmental governance. It can be issued what we called a coin, agricultural coin, let's call it like that. On the other aspect, we have we started a cooperation with one of the biggest blockchain companies from United States, and it's very easy to create a blockchain for that. we were willing, and we can offer that in countries which start from the beginning, to put all the information in a blockchain. Okay, so for this, it's really important to combine all these things, because the technology, as always, Walter is saying, is here, is available. The problem is not to act separately on slices. We have to combine them, put them together, and packaging them. Packaging them, it's something that we know how to do it, because we do not invent the wheel. The wheel has been invented thousands of years ago. So let's take it, put it into a vehicle which will smoothly be pushed on a little bit, step by step. So I completely agree with you that this model can be developed. And actually, as I understood, this is one of the reasons of this meeting. So also in this part, we have excellent cooperation with this company from the United States, which, I repeat, in the blockchain, you can put whatever you want to be safe, that is for safekeeping somewhere. So any other question?
Thank you. That was a beautiful presentation. I think I just wanted to stand on the existing protocol and the topic that, you are discussing right now on this integrated approach about this tracking system. You mentioned a bit about the nomad, those people that bring in their cattle, and we all know we had issue in Nigeria with the herdsmen, Boko Haram, and the rest of it. And the local farmer, unfortunately, are the ones that are suffering, mostly out of all this. And also, it's true that the government do not really know, because when you don't really have data, there's practically nothing that you can do about it. Even if you want to help the people, even if you have the whole money in the world. Water has been to Nigeria severally on, few stuff that we're about to do. So my question, or what I wanted to say, this is very beautiful in tracking the animals, but I think it will go a bit further. I like what he is talking about, paying for the animal, like having a wholesome approach, when it comes to using digitalization or a tool like this. Not only to track the animal, insurance for the farmer. Integrate most of the services. That would be lovely, because that's another problem that we have in Africa or Nigeria. Everybody do a bit of almost everything. Meanwhile, it's a lot expensive. Why not have an integrated approach to one singular problem with the same target group? Because right now, like you're saying, it's not only, before they will come from the north to the south, but now it's at every nooks and corner of the country. There is chaos everywhere. So if we can track the animal, which mostly is the bone of contention, it's also, I would like to say, let's go a bit further into this technology to deal with the farmer, their insurance, when it comes in terms of payment, when it comes in terms of insurance, and also all the stakeholders. When you go into the villages, there are different level of, agriculture and farming. Some people who owns the land is not being used. The part that has been used, there's no remittance. So let's have a whole. Some people could take this up bilaterally, maybe after today. But I was just like, it's a good one. My question from your slide, I saw capacity building. I saw a lot of, some of the software that you have worked on, which I see, I don't know what you presented to them in Nigeria, but I think that could be incorporated into what you just presented now, because this to me looks like just tracking the animals, but it's an example. I mean, if we want to make it a reality, it should be something much more than that. That will be a wholesome, approach into, solving this particular problem, with us. Do I make any sense with you?
Yes, I would like to respond to this.
A short answer from my side to this very important question. In the afternoon, I will discuss about the integration of all these things. The key problem we faced in the past, also in Europe, the minister has a little bit database, the chamber has a database, the farmer has a database, the tractor driver has a database, everybody has a little bit. And everybody is doing things and they don't integrate. Key question. We have to integrate things, that we have one big backend at the end and a lot of different front ends. They access to the same data, sometimes protected, sometimes not protected. That's a key question. Thank you.
I would like to answer to these problems because we were traveling so much together and we have a lot of nice time together to spend to think how can we do that. Actually, we have from technological point, we have two excellent instruments. One is the internet. Secondly are the web services. And the third one, because I didn't mention from the beginning, is the mobile. So the mobile is with you. We believe that there is no project which will be successful and will be adopted by population if it's complicated. The source of data are now in Africa, for instance, are very expensive because despite the fact that we found excellent educated people. No, I reformulate. Unbelievable, exceptionally educated people. I found in Rwanda, in Kigali, at a conference which has been attended by the president, but not to the open ceremony. He was participating in the workshop. I found a city manager, and their preoccupation for a clean environment was shocking us. I was there in Kigali, and the first affiche, big one, was no plastic bags. I would say, what? 2 years ago? In Kigali, I repeat, it was, they were slaughtered themselves 20 years ago. So, educated people, very smart, and they are in key positions. So, we can have a partner in dialogue with them. For sure, and this, I repeat, there can, it's a ground like in Africa. If you put the right seed, all these things will come together. It's the same in Asia. I mean, we can do a lot of things there because the translation of technology and the availability of technology, using open source technology, for instance, it's immediate. You do not need to work with Oracle. You do not need to. I mean, even them, they are taking products on the market in this way, and not to sell it. So, from my perspective, to put those things together, it's just a common effort. And the reason why I really appreciate his effort is that this is what he's trying to do. I mean, he was telling me, let's make a census. The cost of a census in Africa cannot be affordable for any government. In America, it's almost 100 euro per family. You cannot do that. We were trying to find cheap solution available to use the local force of their public servants and also different young people which can work and which actually they are sitting on the street because it's unemployment. So instead of sitting near the streets, they can work very easily in a governmental project. We were proposing them, for instance, the inventory of the holdings. It's a huge project, but you are right, nobody knows exactly what do they have in their country. Any government should have their 15 or 20 registers, from population to land and to different water supplies. They do not know anything about the pipes or about the roads. But it's not difficult to put that together because, I repeat, not the technology is the problem right now. In the past it was, now it was not. So thank you very much for your question because it was really, it's for the, I think for the 10th time when we discussed that even in Kano. We were in Kano together with 2 cars. We abandoned the cars on the road. I will never ever go on that highway again.
Decide immediately. Decide immediately.